Welcome to the Catholic Midlife podcast, where we're addressing the challenges and the opportunities of midlife from a uniquely Catholic perspective. Join us each week as we spark a midlife renewal and create a firm foundation for the next wonderful, exciting, awesome season of life.
Hello, and welcome to the Catholic Midlife podcast. It is great to be here with you. I'm Curtis. I'm here with Karen.
Hi, everyone. And Curtis, I'd like to share a comment we had from a listener this week. The listener says, my husband and I were getting together with some other couples, and we decided to listen to your podcast, Writing the Next Chapter of Marriage. If you haven't listened to that one, it's number 51. She says, we each rated our marriage in terms of the acronym SHARP and talked about it, about what we did well and some things we wanted to improve. So thanks for the great material. It was a great gathering.
Wow, how cool is that? I'm very honored by that.
I'm super honored. It sounds really fun and actually like a super great idea. I'm just really pleased people are using the material in that way.
Yeah, that is a great story. And speaking of listeners, Karen, you really wanted to talk about listening to wrap up our marriage season.
I did, because we are getting towards the end of our marriage season. And this is really, it's hard to isolate what's the number one key skill in marriage. And there really isn't one, but listening is going to come up everywhere. And I think Phil and Michelle Carlson referred to it as well as how important it was. And, listening it's not so easy as we might think it is. And so there's a lot of ways that we can grow in it. I was thinking of this conversation I had quite a while ago, actually, but the gal was telling me about how this one thing she would keep bringing up with her husband just to have a conversation about it. And it's like he went into this special mode when the topic came up, and he would start analyzing the situation and pulling out the pieces and figuring out the reasons why it was all happening. And it made her really frustrated because she felt just like she was getting shut down in the conversation and wasn't being listened to. And I think that we all have some listening deficits. Even if we have pretty good communication in our marriage, there's a lot of ways to improve how we listen to one another.
I think we've been on both sides of that conversation.
Oh, totally.
Getting shut down.
Yeah.
But also unconsciously shutting other people down. Harriet Lerner, who I admire, as you know, she's a psychologist. She said, intimacy rises and falls in direct proportion to your capacity to listen well. That's a really strong statement to say that intimacy is in direct proportion to listening.
That's really strong. And that's actually a really impressive statement, but it's very hopeful, right? Really, if I improve my listening, I'm going to see benefit in the intimacy in my relationship.
There's opportunity for all of us.
There is opportunity. There's opportunity. And I thought, it might be kind of fun just to talk about, maybe that's the way to call them, areas of opportunity for growth in our listening. I was going to call them listening violations.
Yeah, well, that's my word. So we were talking about this episode and I told Karen, I went on this retreat with a bunch of men and you couldn't listen to a group of them talking for 5 minutes without a listening violation happening.
Well, it's true. Once you know what they are, you start hearing them everywhere, and it just kind of ups your awareness level in a good way, though, because it helps us be aware of when we're potentially diminishing our intimacy by having a listening violation. So let's call them that listening violations. And do you want to just pick one to start out with, Curtis?
Yeah, well, this has to be the big fat obvious one, and that is giving advice.
Ooh, dun, dun, dun.
Jumping in.
Yeah.
Before somebody has signaled that they might want advice, but jumping in and just dishing out the advice, it feels so good.
Sure, sure. Oh, I know. You should do X. Or yeah, that happened to me. And here's what you need to do to fix your problem.
Well, here's a really subtle, quote unquote, subtle way of giving advice. What you say is that, well, in situations like that, what I've done is blah, 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 blah.
Yes, yes.
That's so subtle, right?
Well, I think it was really important what you said, Curtis, which was jumping in with advice when the person hasn't yet asked for it. And something about listening, which is honoring the other person's experience and their vision of the world and what they're going through, is honoring what they want out of the conversation. And they may not want advice. They may not be interested in fixing a problem right now.
Actually, giving advice is pretty tough. Like elves, they don't even want to do it. If you're an elf,
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Elves are the wise people in the Lord of the Rings. They don't like to give advice.
I was thinking of Santa's elves, and I was trying to remember when they were asked for advice. It's very confusing.
The point is that if you were serious about giving advice, you'd probably ask a lot of questions to try to understand the situation. However, just offering your suggestions typically is it's not going to be on point.
Well, it's not. And it's going to cut off the conversation. It's just going to shut down whatever sort of connection you were building in terms of understanding the other person's experience and keep you from going to that deeper place.
That's really a critical point. It does shut down the conversation. And even if your spouse tolerates your advice, what would happen if you didn't give it? Could you go deeper in the conversation?
Yeah. Where would things go then?
What are we supposed to do if we're not giving advice?
Are you asking me?
Yes. Give me some advice.
Well, I think this idea of really trying to just put yourself in the other person's place and see things from their perspective, whatever that is, even if it's totally different from your own, you're really trying to hear the person from their own perspective. So having a sense of curiosity about how this is all working for them and what's affecting them and, what they're feeling or how they tend to respond or what they start thinking about in the situation or, like what's really bothering them about something if it's a situation of being bothered. So just being curious, not like in a quizoid kind of way, not like you're grilling them, but asking questions to try to get a handle on their perspective.
You're trying to understand the experience through their eyes.
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah.
What are they experiencing? What are they feeling?
Yeah. And feeling like someone is asking us questions from a point of curiosity often makes us really feel like we're being listened to and not like we're being put into somebody else's agenda. So asking those questions, seeing it from the other person's eyes, giving somebody validation, just letting them know it makes sense. It totally makes sense that you would have that response or feel that way or, that would mean that to you in that situation. Just feeling like what we're experiencing is normal.
Karen, for sure, giving them validation, that is almost always in play because we're human beings. We want to know that what we're doing or thinking isn't weird or unusual, that it's understandable. It makes sense on some kind of level because we are connected to each other, yet we have to talk and interact with each other to make the connection.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I think you could say that offering an invalidating response is a pretty big listening violation in its own.
The invalidating response. Oh, I know just how you feel, Karen.
or you're overreacting. Just don't get that upset about it.
Oh, it's not so bad.
It's not so bad. Well, really, you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel this other way. You should be grateful that blah, blah, blah is true.
Yeah, you should be grateful and you shouldn't worry so much.
Yeah, just don't let it bother you.
Look for the silver lining, Karen.
I'm already getting mad when you said that.
Are you serious? That's a trigger for you, huh?
I'm not looking at the silver lining right now. I will do that when I'm ready to do that.
But there's a reason for everything.
There's a reason for everything. God has a plan, Stan.
Yeah, something good will come out of this.
Yeah. I think that we actually did a whole episode on validation in our young adult season. And it's a very important skill in listening. I was surprised at how many ways we can invalidate another person.
Well, the list is very long.
Yeah.
We can change the subject.
Sure. We can start avoiding a conversation.
Be dismissive.
Yep.
So just circling back to what it is we're trying to do, we're trying to let them know that I have some empathy for you, and what you're experiencing is a human experience. And we're at some level, we're all in this together. And you're not strange or weird. You're not an outcast. You're a part of the human family.
Yes. And you have a right to be going through whatever it is you're going through at that particular time.
So one time, Karen, I was at church, and I don't know what was going on. The kids were much younger, and I kind of cornered this guy, and I knew him, but I was complaining about something, and I was going on and on and on. And finally, I took a deep breath to continue, and he jumped in and he said, "Oh, yes, well, death to self and all that." And he turned tail.
Oh, no.
Scurried away.
Really?
Yeah.
He was a little overwhelmed, perhaps.
Yeah. So it was his self-defense mechanism, pretty understandable.
Yeah.
And I realized I was over the top. However, it was super invalidating. And I remember it.
You still remember it?
After 15, 20 years, I still remember it.
Wow. Sure. So it really, a slightly different approach could have gone a long way in that moment.
Yeah. So just because you're right doesn't
Yeah.
always mean it's the most helpful way to approach it.
Right.
Although I can see the humor in this situation. So
So I know one thing that's really struck me is, and you could call this a listening violation, I think, is that we tend to assume that the other party should know exactly what we need in this conversation. They should just know how we want to be listened to at any particular moment in time.
Well, this resonates, and at some level, Karen, we've been married for long enough, and I really do kind of expect you to know what it is I need for this conversation.
Yeah. And, I think that's a little unfair, to be frank, because there's a lot of things that a person can want at any point from a conversation. Like sometimes people really do want you to jump in and fix their problem so they can move on. Sometimes people are just communicating facts. Sometimes they just want, a little of that validation. And it can be really confusing if I'm not really sure what you want. And happily, I have Harriet Lerner on my side. She says, you need to speak up and tell your partner what it is you want from them.
Well, part of that is that how can Karen be a better listener for me if I never give her feedback?
Right.
Even if I sincerely feel that she should know I just wanted to show a little interest in me at this moment. Mm-hmm. She should know that. But if she's not hitting the mark, I can let her know.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I just show a little curiosity, okay? Let's be interested in this. This was important to me.
Right.
Something like that, I can let her know. And at least she's getting good feedback. So the next time, maybe she'll jump the right direction.
Well, the thing is, I love you. Of course, I want to listen in a way that's going to support you and make you feel loved in the moment. So if you tell me to do that, I'm going to do it. And it's not like I'm making it up, because actually I am interested in you. I married you. I am curious about you. And I just need to be told which of these things to do will serve you right now.
It's really true. And sometimes people have different communication styles, and Karen's a very literal listener.
Yeah.
She listens very literally and isn't going to jump in there and start making a bunch of inferences because, they might not be justified. So I have to tell her what I'm expecting very often. And that's how it is. We're not always perfect mind readers in all areas of our marriage.
We're not. And it really serves both of the parties to say, gosh, I'm having a really hard time and I just don't want any advice right now. I need to just process. So can you just listen and ask me a few questions and help me to process this? Or, if something's going on and I really need their emotional presence and undivided attention, I can say, this is really important to me. And it's a time when I really need your undivided attention. And it's not reasonable that we're always going to give each other undivided attention 24/7 going through life. And when you need it, letting your partner know that you need it is really important.
This reminds me of the time that one of your friends went into labor, and she was in the hospital room with her mom.
Yeah.
And her mom was over in the corner wrapping presents.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And she looked over there and said, "Mom,
I'm having a baby.
Stop that." This was her mom's, fourth or fifth grandchild.
Or more. And it was Christmas time, for Pete's sake.
So she just brought along something to keep busy with.
Because, this could take a while. It could take a while.
So, yeah, Mom put away the presents and paid attention. Mm-hmm. And they continued on.
Yeah. And I do think, too, just to stay on this point a little bit longer, in terms of giving your partner feedback, if there's something they're not doing and you're getting frustrated or you're feeling like you're not being listened to, tell them specifically what it is you're looking for. Like what's missing from this interaction that I'm really looking for here?
Well, listening is an art, and helping your wife or husband understand what you want, that's kind of a big process. And really, this shows up a lot with the men. So the women want the men to share. So they want them to come home and share something that's personal about their day or what happened. And the men are not always equipped to do that coming into the marriage. So they can start to feel like they're getting grilled when they come in. And they know that their wife wants them to share more, but they don't know what to do, and it's frustrating. And what can we say? I mean, listening is an art. If you're not getting the listening that you want or the sharing that you want, if you can articulate what the thing is, I think that can be helpful. But we do have to try to let go of our expectations when we're listening.
So when you're the listener, to kind of let go of your own expectations and just focus on the speaker.
And focus on the speaker.
Okay.
And if the speaker is sort of a long-term project of trying to help them learn how to share more better because that's what you want, then it's a long-term project. And making them feel that they're under a lot of pressure is really not helpful.
I think it'll work against you.
Yeah, in
sure.
some ways, it's like dealing with your young adult kids
Yeah.
or your teenager kids. They can be uncommunicative, and often your best strategy is simply to show curiosity, try to draw them out and repeat what they're saying. So it's an art, Karen. It's an art.
It is. It is.
Listening is an art for sure, Karen. So the other day, are you ready?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. What happened the other day?
Well, let me tell you. So
Okay.
the other day, I was sharing with you how, I'm a little frustrated with myself because I haven't gotten out to do any snow kiting. I've been kind of lazy. It's been a little cold. I have some external, internal obstacles. And you did a great job of validating me, actually, in that conversation. But I was a little dissatisfied with the whole thing.
Really? Really? Okay, this is a great example because I don't know specifically what you would have wanted. So can you identify what you weren't getting from me in that conversation?
I think I felt like I was doing all the talking.
Okay.
And of course, it was my experience that you weren't involved in. However, I think the net of it is that you could have been a little more curious.
Okay. Yeah, so you were giving me kind of some detailed, stories about what was all happening and why it was frustrating. And internally, actually, I was just thinking, boy, that sounds like something I would never want to do. And I was starting to get cold just thinking about it. Okay, so just some more questions that showed my interest in the whole process. And
Well, that's interesting to me because you had more empathy than
Yeah.
I realized.
oh,
You didn't
okay.
look empathetic to me.
Oh. Okay, this is actually very interesting that you just said that because this has come up before where there's some way that I'm looking that means something to you. Like, well, you're just looking at me like you don't understand. Or you're looking at me like this is dumb. Or, you've just got that look on your face and you're not saying anything.
Yeah,
Does that make
you've
sense?
got the processing face.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm learning something in this conversation on air for everybody to hear, which is that it really affects you when I have certain facial expressions. And actually, I could probably learn to have other kinds of expressions when I'm listening to you so that you'll feel listened to.
Well, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
To be candid, I've kind of learned when you go into that processing mode,
Yeah.
it means you're going to take a while to sort out your thoughts and feelings. And really, it's a signal for me to circle back later.
Huh. So you're telling yourself, well, she actually is listening. She just doesn't have any output.
No, it's more like, this is totally pointless, but if I come back later, it'll be better.
Okay. Well, we could, collaborate around this a little bit because it's important to me that you feel listened to.
That's fine. So it's just a moment of frustration, but I've appreciated that you do process these things, and we always come back around to have our discussions. What can we do to wrap things up? What can we do to summarize here, Karen? What's a key takeaway?
Well, I think one key takeaway is we don't really pay attention to how we're listening most of the time. We don't pay attention to it. So there are always ways to grow in our listening that will serve us and it will serve our marriage. So starting to be aware of how we're listening and when there might be a disconnect between our responses or our interaction from what the speaker's really looking for. I mean, just finding the disconnect is a pretty big deal in my mind.
I think another takeaway is that there's 50 ways to cut off the conversation without realizing it.
Yeah.
So that curiosity is often the key. If you can just try to show a little curiosity, good things might happen.
Yeah. And two, creating a comfortable environment where somebody can say, what do you need from me right now as the listener? Or, I want to listen to you better. Help me to do that. Help me to be a better listener.
Being able to offer some feedback that's articulate enough. And I hope this episode has really helped people get some ideas about some of what they're experiencing in their speaking and listening so that they can start to articulate, well, maybe this is what I'm wanting more of, and this is what I could ask for.
I think starting to ask ourselves even that question, if I'm disappointed or I'm frustrated, well, what is it I'm really wanting? Because a lot of us haven't thought to that level and may need to think about it to find out.
That's a great point, Karen. When we're frustrated in the relationship, that's usually a signal that it's up to us to do something constructive about it.
Right. Well, this wraps up our episode number 54, and we invite all of you, if you're on Facebook, to come over and join us in the Catholic Midlife Podcast Facebook group. We'd love to have some conversations about how you're processing what we share in the podcast and any of your comments or questions. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to the Catholic Midlife Podcast. It's great to be here with you. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite app or platform. Leave a review. That's so helpful so that others like you can find the podcast. And be sure to tell your friends. We'll see you next week.